Something big is brewing in Los Angeles, and it's not just happening on the field. There's an unexpected shakeup on the offensive line, an unlikely hero stepping up out of nowhere, a dramatic recovery that could change the course of the season, and a cloud of worry no one really wants to admit. Every detail could be the difference between starting 2025 with confidence or going into full survival mode. You're going to feel the tension, understand the behind-the-scenes chess moves, and walk away with plenty to debate. Ready to be surprised? Then grab a seat, hit that like button, and let's dive right in. The season hasn't even started, and we've already been hit by that old nightmare every Chargers fan knows too well, the sudden gut punch injury to the offensive line. But this one hurts on a different level. Ruled by Sean Slater, our anchor on the blind side, is out for the entire year with a torn patellar tendon. And if you think this is just another injury, you're way off. This changes absolutely everything about Justin Herbert's comfort in the pocket and how the offense operates. Losing Slater isn't just losing an elite left tackle, it's losing the security blanket that lets the quarterback go through his reads without looking over his shoulder. It's throwing the playbook out of balance. It's forcing Jim Harbrough to improvise at a position where improvisation is the worst option. And that's exactly what the front office had to do. Shuffle pieces, adjust roles, and scramble for solutions that weren't even on the radar a few weeks ago. GM Joe Hortiz moved quickly, signing former Ravens lineman David Sharp to add depth. It's a short-term patch job, more about plugging holes than changing the situation. Sharp brings experience, but he's not the kind of guy who's going to save the season. That's why there's a bigger, bolder backup plan, looking at the Cleveland Browns depth chart for a possible reunion between Harbrough and one of his former Michigan Wolverines guard Zach Zinter. Now, let's be real. Zinter is strictly a guard, not a tackle, so why would he matter? Simple, his arrival would free up Jaima Resile to move into the swing tackle role, where he's already proven to be far more reliable than anything else on the market. It's a chess move, strengthen the interior, to give yourself flexibility on the outside. Of course, there's the obvious question, what about Zinter's rough rookie year? Coming off a broken tibia and fibula, he struggled in limited snaps, finishing with a 43.9 PFF grade. That's not ideal, but context matters. He was rehabbing from major injuries and playing on a Browns team with nothing to fight for. It's not exactly a setting for a breakout. Would Cleveland really give up on a third-round pick this quickly? Maybe, if the return was right. Think a conditional sixth-rounder. After all, Zinter's already slipped to fourth on their guard depth chart, pushed down further by the signing of Van Jenkins. Let's not kid ourselves. Zinter's not walking in and fixing this line, but he's a realistic, cost-controlled option who knows Harbaugh's system and could give Herbert a little more breathing room. And if you've been a Chargers fan long enough, you know the truth. This franchise doesn't get perfect scenarios. The game here is survival, week by week, keeping the dream alive until January, and that's not even the most surprising thing to happen this week. While the O-line has been giving us headaches, the passing game quietly handed us something completely different. A pleasant shock. Imagine this, you sign a player on short notice, just days before a preseason game, and suddenly, he's one of the stars of the win over the Saints. That's exactly what Thomas Yasmin pulled off last Saturday, and his story is worth your attention. If you don't know the name yet, Yasmin came through the NFL's International Player Pathway program, the same initiative that brings in talent from outside the U.S. The Australian tight end had a brief stint with the Denver Broncos, even landing a futures contract before being cut in May. When the Chargers signed him on August 7, let's be honest, most people saw it as nothing more than an extra body for practice reps. Less than 72 hours later, he proved he could be much more. Against New Orleans, Yasmin didn't see a ton of snaps, but he made every one of them count. He finished with a 75.7 PFF grade, top 5 on the team. That's impressive for anyone, but especially for a guy still adjusting to the speed and complexity of the NFL. And it wasn't like he padded those numbers against backups. He was facing a physical Saints defense that doesn't make life easy for tight ends. Now, before we start penciling him in as a starter, let's keep some perspective. The Chargers' TE depth chart still has T.Y. Conklin as TE1, Will Dissly in the mix, and rookie Oronde Gadsden waiting in the wings. But here's the thing, none of them are untouchable. Conklin is solid, but not a game changer. Dissly is reliable, but limited, and Gadsden is still developing. That's where Yasmin's unique traits come into play. Explosive athleticism, an aggressive mentality, and from what we saw, a natural chemistry with Herbert. That's rare for a newcomer who didn't come up through the American college system. And let's not forget, tight end is a chemistry position. If Herbert likes throwing your way, your chances of sticking around skyrocket. If Yasmin keeps performing over the next 2 preseason games, Tucker Fisk might be the odd man out. And that's more than just a roster move. It would mean the Chargers are adding a weapon who could make a real difference in red zone packages and third down situations. Anyone who remembers an N2-on-EO Gates knows just how valuable that can be. Yes, the sample size is small, and the real tests are still to come, but you can't ignore the fact that he's already caught the eye of the coaching staff, and Harbrough loves an underdog. This guy is the definition of a player who could sneak up and make a major impact at exactly the right time. And while we're still processing that pleasant surprise, what comes next is a recovery story that could decide the fate of our backfield in Week 1. One of the biggest emotional swings for Chargers fans this month has been the updates on Najee Harris. And this isn't your standard training camp tweak or game injury. The running back we brought in to be the centerpiece of our 2025 ground game is still recovering from something as bizarre as it is serious, an eye injury from a 4th of July fireworks accident. And for a position that relies heavily on vision to read blocks and react in milliseconds, that's a massive concern. This week, we finally got something that resembled good news. Harris was spotted jogging on the field. No contact, no full-speed drills, but it's a step up from what we'd seen over the past month. A problem: the clock is ticking. We're just over 3 weeks from the opener against the Chiefs in Brazil, and Harris is still on the non-football injury list. If he's not activated before final roster cuts, he'll be forced to miss the first 4 games of the regular season. Harbrough was asked about the situation, and in classic Harbrough fashion, he avoided any firm predictions. He admitted there's a chance Harris could play Week 1, but wouldn't commit to anything. His quote was almost comically blunt. "I looked in his eye, and he can open it." That's vintage Harbrough. Direct, a little weird, and completely unwilling to give away the bigger picture. Harris is on a 1-year, $5.25 million deal, and the plan was always for him to be the RB1, giving the offense consistency and balance. But while he's sidelined, first-round rookie Omari on Hampton has a chance to make his case. And we all know how this goes. Running back is a momentum position. If Hampton catches fire in the first few games, Harris might return to a shared role, something that was probably never in the script. Strategically, the uncertainty around Harris changes everything. Without him, Herbert faces more pressure, because the run game loses weight and defenses can focus harder on stopping the pass. Plus, chemistry between a back and his offensive line takes time to build, and every missed rep is a missed opportunity. The fan base is split. Some believe he'll come back hungry and ready to dominate. Others fear this injury could affect his burst and field vision long-term. And let's be honest, if you've been a Chargers fan for any length of time, you've learned to hope for the best, but brace for the worst. And as if uncertainty in the backfield wasn't enough, there's another offensive line issue brewing. This one involving one of the most hyped free agent signings of the offseason. We've already covered the gut punch of losing Rashawn Slater, but the O-line storyline just got messier. Mekhi Becton, the marquee interior line signing brought in to bring power and stability, hasn't practiced in 2 weeks. Officially, offensive coordinator Greg Roachman calls it an extremely minor injury. But when extremely minor turns into we expect him to play Week 1, you can feel the anxiety rising. Think about it. The plan was Joe A.H. Tilley at left tackle, Becton at right guard, Zemwyon Johnson at left guard, Bradley Bozeman at center, and Trey Pipkins at right tackle. Not the dream unit, but with Alt and Becton as anchors, it was good enough to keep Herbert upright. Without Becton, Jamari Sailor would slide in at right guard, giving you 4 starters who graded below average last year, leaving Alt as the lone elite presence. And that's a massive problem. Becton is coming off a career year with the Eagles, capped by a Super Bowl appearance where he finally played like the first-round talent everyone thought he was. He brings confidence, size, and an edge in the trenches. But none of that matters if he's not on the field. And soon to build chemistry before Week 1 in Brazil. Roman's trying to keep the panic down. But Chargers fans have seen this movie before. Since Harbrough took over, injury updates have been locked down tighter than a bank vault. And in that silence, every extra missed day feeds the speculation machine. We've seen minor issues turn into season derailers in the past. Strategically, losing Becton isn't just a physical blow, it's psychological. This line was already being rebuilt on the fly after Slater's injury. Take out Becton too, and Herbert is once again forced into survival mode, relying on improvisation to make plays, which is thrilling, but not sustainable over a 17-game season. The fan base is split again. Some think the team's just being ultra cautious. Others fear there's more going on than they're admitting. And losing your biggest offensive addition before you've even seen him in uniform? That's the nightmare scenario. The clock is ticking. If Becton isn't back soon, Week 1 could be a lot rougher than anyone in powder blue wants to admit. Between the devastating loss of Slater, The possible addition of Zinter, Yasmin's unexpected breakout, Harris's uncertain recovery, and the quiet but growing concerns over Becton. The Chargers' 2025 storyline already feels like a full-blown drama series. Every move, every absence, every comeback has the potential to redefine this season. The real question is, are we about to witness a year of grit and redemption, or just another chapter in the saga of what could have been? I want to hear from you. Which of these stories is going to shape the final outcome the most? Drop a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe so you don't miss a thing.